In the year 2097, Earth was a planet teetering on the edge of its own undoing. Humanity had reached a technological zenith, a world of towering arcologies piercing the clouds, autonomous drones weaving through urban labyrinths, and quantum computers unraveling the mysteries of the universe. Yet, for all its brilliance, humanity remained fractured. Nations squabbled over dwindling resources, corporations hoarded wealth like dragons atop their hoards, and ecosystems groaned under the weight of relentless exploitation. Climate change had not been solved but merely managed, with massive geoengineering projects holding back the worst of it like a dam against a surging tide. It was an age of miracles and malaise, a world where humanity's ingenuity was matched only by its hubris. And then they came. It began on a crisp October evening, when the skies above Earth ignited with streaks of sapphire fire. At first, astronomers scrambled to explain it, a meteor shower perhaps, or some rare atmospheric phenomenon. But as the streaks grew brighter and more numerous, it became clear that this was no natural event. The objects fell in perfect formation, like an army descending from the heavens. They landed not with fiery impacts but with eerie precision, embedding themselves into the Earth's surface without so much as a tremor. From the frozen tundras of Siberia to the sprawling deserts of Africa, from the depths of the Amazon rainforest to the heart of Manhattan, they fell. The objects were crystalline structures, each one gleaming with an otherworldly blue light. They ranged in size from small boulders to towering monoliths that dwarfed skyscrapers. Their surfaces were smooth and flawless, yet they seemed to pulse faintly, as if alive. Scientists were baffled. No known material on Earth, or in space, matched their composition. The crystals defied analysis, resisting every attempt to cut or even scratch them. But their most unsettling quality was their effect on living things. Within days of their arrival, reports began to emerge. Crops withering in fields near the crystals, animals fleeing en masse from areas where they had landed. And then came the sickness. At first, it was subtle, a faint dizziness or nausea for those who ventured too close to the crystals. But soon it escalated into something far worse: organ failure, seizures, and finally death. The phenomenon was dubbed mana poisoning, though no one knew what mana truly was, only that it emanated from these alien artifacts like radiation from a dying star. Panic spread like wildfire. Governments declared states of emergency. Cities near crystal sites were evacuated at gunpoint. Entire nations descended into chaos as millions succumbed to the invisible blight. Conspiracy theories flourished. Some claimed it was an alien invasion. Others believed it to be divine punishment or some rogue experiment gone awry. But amidst the fear and confusion, one truth became undeniable. Humanity was under siege by something far beyond its understanding. And then came the visions. They started as dreams, fragmented images of beings with azure skin and hair like spun silver, their eyes glowing with an inner light. They stood tall and elegant, clad in garments that shimmered like liquid starlight. They spoke in a language that no human could comprehend, yet somehow felt familiar, as if whispered directly into the soul. As more and more people experienced these visions, a chilling realization took hold. These beings were real. They were watching humanity through the crystals they had scattered across Earth like seeds in fertile soil. The name Blue Elves was coined by a desperate media grasping for something tangible to call them. It was a misnomer born of folklore and fear. These beings were no mere elves, but something far older and more powerful than any myth could capture. And though they had yet to show themselves in physical form, their intentions were clear: domination. By 2100, 3 years after their arrival, 85% of humanity had perished from mana poisoning or its secondary effects: starvation, societal collapse, wars over dwindling safe zones. The survivors were scattered and broken, but not defeated. For amidst the devastation came an unexpected revelation. Those who survived mana poisoning began to change. It started subtly, a heightened awareness here, an inexplicable burst of strength there. But soon it became undeniable. Humans were developing abilities once thought impossible. Fire danced at their fingertips. Winds bent to their will. Even time itself seemed malleable under their newfound power. The crystals that had nearly wiped them out had also awakened something dormant within them: magic. And so began humanity's darkest chapter, and its greatest fight for survival. The survivors of humanity, scattered across a ravaged globe, found themselves thrust into an era where the boundaries between science and magic blurred. In the ashes of civilization, the remaining governments, scientists, and visionaries gathered in secret enclaves to study this newfound power. They called it arcana, a force as ancient as the universe itself, now coursing through their veins like a second lifeblood. In the sprawling ruins of what was once Geneva, a coalition of the world's brightest minds established the Arcane Research Initiative. Here, in makeshift laboratories cobbled together from the remnants of shattered skyscrapers and abandoned technology, they began to unravel the mysteries of arcana. The crystals, once feared as harbingers of doom, were now seen as keys to unlocking humanity's potential. The first breakthroughs were tentative, but promising. Researchers discovered that arcana could be harnessed through focus and intent, much like the programming languages of old. They devised rudimentary spells, simple manipulations of fire and light, and recorded them like scientific formulas. But as their understanding deepened, so too did their ambitions. They envisioned a world where magic and technology coexisted, each enhancing the other in ways previously unimaginable. The fusion of arcana with technology gave birth to a new discipline: technomancy. Engineers and mages worked side by side to create devices that defied conventional physics. Hovercraft powered by elemental winds skimmed over desolate landscapes. Communication networks woven from strands of light connected survivors across continents. Even rudimentary energy shields were developed to protect against the lingering mana poisoning. Amidst these advancements, humanity's resolve hardened. The Blue Elves had underestimated them, assuming that mere survival would be beyond their reach. But humans were nothing if not adaptable, a species defined by its ability to rise from the brink of extinction time and again. In underground bunkers and fortified enclaves, resistance movements began to form. They called themselves the Arcanists, a coalition of mages and technologists united by a singular purpose: to reclaim their world from the alien invaders who sought to subjugate them. They trained tirelessly, honing their magical skills while developing new technologies designed to counteract the Blue Elves' influence. As their power grew, so too did their understanding of their enigmatic adversaries. Through painstaking research and shared visions, they pieced together fragments of the Blue Elves' history, a race ancient beyond reckoning, driven by an insatiable hunger for dominion over all life. The mana crystals were merely their latest weapon in a cosmic campaign that had spanned eons. But humanity had one advantage: unpredictability. Where other species might have succumbed to despair or submission, humans thrived on chaos and challenge. They were driven by a fierce determination to protect what remained of their world, to forge a future where magic was not just a tool for survival, but a beacon of hope. In this new age of arcana and technomancy, humanity stood on the precipice of its greatest battle yet, a war not just for survival, but for liberation. The Blue Elves had sown their seeds across Earth, but they had also awakened something within its people, a fire that burned brighter than any crystal. And so, with magic in their hearts and technology at their fingertips, humanity prepared to take back their world from those who would see it enslaved. The fight was far from over. Indeed, it had only just begun. As the Arcanists grew in strength and numbers, their influence spread across the remnants of human civilization. They established hidden academies where survivors could learn to wield their newfound powers, blending ancient arcane techniques with cutting-edge technology. These sanctuaries became beacons of hope in a world still shrouded in the shadow of the Blue Elves. One such place was the Citadel of Ether, nestled deep within the Himalayas, shielded by both natural barriers and powerful enchantments. Here, under the guidance of seasoned magi and technomancers, young recruits learned to channel arcana with precision and purpose. They studied the art of spellcraft alongside engineering, creating hybrid devices that could amplify their abilities and turn the tide of battle. Among these recruits was a young woman named Alara, whose affinity for arcana was matched only by her ingenuity. She had lost everything to mana poisoning: her family, her home, but she carried their memory as a source of strength. Driven by a fierce determination to protect others from suffering the same fate, she quickly rose through the ranks of the Arcanists. Alera's brilliance lay in her ability to see connections where others saw only chaos. She pioneered new forms of technomancy, crafting devices that could interface directly with a mage's mind, allowing for instantaneous spellcasting and unprecedented control over elemental forces. Her creations became vital tools in the Arcanist's arsenal, enabling them to strike at the heart of Blue Elf strongholds with precision and efficiency. As humanity's resistance intensified, they began to uncover weaknesses in their alien adversaries. The Blue Elves were powerful but rigid in their thinking, bound by traditions and hierarchies that left them vulnerable to innovation and unpredictability. The Arcanists exploited this rigidity, launching daring raids on crystal sites to disrupt their control and reclaim territory. In one such mission, Alera led a team deep into what had once been New York City, a sprawling metropolis now dominated by a colossal mana crystal that pulsed with malevolent energy. Their objective was to disable its core, severing its connection to the Blue Elves' network and freeing the surrounding area from its toxic influence. The operation was perilous, fraught with danger at every turn. The team navigated through crumbling skyscrapers and treacherous ruins, evading patrols of Blue Elf sentinels who guarded the crystal with unyielding vigilance. But Alera's leadership and ingenuity proved invaluable. Using her technomantic devices, she cloaked their presence from detection and guided them safely to their target. At the heart of the crystal lay its core, a swirling vortex of raw arcana that radiated power beyond comprehension. As Alera approached it, she felt its pull like gravity, resonating with her own magical essence. It was both terrifying and exhilarating, a reminder of what was at stake in this war for survival. With steady hands and unwavering focus, she deployed her most advanced creation, a device capable of disrupting the crystal's energy matrix without causing catastrophic backlash. As she activated it, waves of arcana surged through her body like electricity, a symphony of power that threatened to overwhelm her senses. But Alera held firm, drawing on every lesson learned at the Citadel of Ether, every memory of those lost to mana poisoning, and channeled that energy into a single purpose: liberation. The crystal shuddered violently as its core destabilized. Arcs of blue lightning danced across its surface before it finally imploded in a blinding flash of light. When the dust settled, only silence remained, a profound stillness broken only by cheers from her team as they realized what had been accomplished. This victory marked a turning point for humanity, a testament not just to their resilience, but also to their capacity for growth amidst adversity. With each success came renewed hope. With each liberated city came new allies ready to join the fight against oppression. Yet even as they celebrated these hard-won victories, Alera knew that greater challenges lay ahead. Challenges that would test not just their strength, but also their unity, as they faced an enemy determined never to yield. The battle for Earth's future continued unabated, its outcome uncertain, yet filled with promise born from courage forged in fire. The promise that one day soon humanity would rise triumphant over those who sought its downfall. The destruction of the New York mana crystal sent shockwaves through the Blue Elves network. For the first time, their control over Earth faltered. The crystalline lattice that connected their scattered seeds across the planet dimmed, if only slightly, and the oppressive aura of mana poisoning in the surrounding regions began to wane. Humanity had struck a blow not just to their invaders' infrastructure, but to their arrogance. The Blue Elves had assumed their dominance was unassailable. They were wrong, but this victory came with a cost. Alera's team returned to the Citadel of Ether battered and depleted. Two of her closest comrades had fallen during the mission, and Alera herself bore scars, not just physical ones, but deep, invisible wounds etched into her soul. Yet she pushed forward, refusing to let grief consume her. There was too much at stake. In the weeks that followed, humanity's resistance ramped up its efforts. The Arcanists used the data gathered from the New York mission to refine their strategies and develop new tools for warfare. Alera's success had proven that the mana crystals were not invulnerable. They could be dismantled, disrupted, even destroyed if approached with precision and ingenuity. This revelation sparked a movement, the Shard Offensive. The Shard Offensive was a bold plan to systematically target and disable the largest mana crystals across Earth. Each crystal acted as a node in a vast web of energy that allowed the Blue Elves to exert their influence over the planet. By severing these connections, humanity hoped not only to reclaim their world, but also to weaken their oppressors' grip on reality itself. To execute this plan, humanity needed more than just courage. They needed innovation on an unprecedented scale. At hidden enclaves like the Citadel of Ether, teams of technomancers and engineers worked tirelessly to create new weapons and defenses. Among their most promising developments were arcane resonators, devices capable of amplifying human magic to levels that could rival even the Blue Elves' raw power. Elara played a central role in these efforts, her mind a whirlwind of ideas fueled by equal parts desperation and hope. She collaborated with engineers to design hybrid constructs, drones powered by elemental energy, armor infused with protective enchantments, and weapons that combined human ingenuity with arcane might. One such invention, a staff-like weapon she called the Conduit, became her signature tool in battle, allowing her to channel massive amounts of arcana with precision and devastating effect. As preparations for the Shard Offensive continued, humanity began to notice something strange. The Blue Elves were growing restless. Their presence in visions became more frequent and more aggressive, as if they were probing humanity's collective psyche for weaknesses. Survivors reported seeing flashes of alien landscapes, vast cities made entirely of crystal, where rivers of blue light flowed like veins through an otherworldly body. These visions were accompanied by whispers, fragments of a language that seemed both incomprehensible and hauntingly familiar. The Arcanists theorized that these were attempts at psychological warfare, designed to sow fear and doubt among humanity's ranks. But instead of breaking their spirits, these visions only deepened humanity's resolve. For in those glimpses of alien grandeur lay a crucial discovery. The Blue Elves were not invincible gods, but beings bound by rules and vulnerabilities like any other species. Their crystalline technology was advanced beyond comprehension, but it was not without flaws, and those flaws could be exploited. The first major operation of the Shard Offensive targeted a mana crystal embedded deep within the Sahara Desert, a monolith so massive it could be seen from orbit. The crystal pulsed with an intensity that warped reality around it. Sand dunes shifted unnaturally under its influence, forming spirals and patterns that defied logic. Elara led the strike team personally, her conduit humming with latent power as they approached their target under cover of night. The mission required precision timing. They had mere hours before dawn would expose them to patrolling Blue Elf sentinels. As they neared the crystal's core, they encountered resistance unlike anything they had faced before. Constructs made entirely of shimmering blue light, humanoid in form but moving with an unnatural grace and speed. These mana wraiths, as they came to be called, were manifestations of pure arcana given shape by the crystal itself. The battle was fierce and chaotic. Spells clashed with energy weapons and bursts of light that illuminated the desert like fireworks on a moonless night. Elara fought at the forefront, her conduit blazing as she unleashed torrents of fire and lightning upon their foes. Her team pressed forward with relentless determination, each step bringing them closer to their goal. Finally, they reached the crystal's core, a swirling nexus of energy encased in layers of translucent material harder than any known substance on Earth. Using a combination of technomancy and sheer force of will, Elara activated an arcane resonator designed specifically for this mission. The device emitted a resonant hum that grew into a deafening roar as it synchronized with the crystal's frequency. For a moment, time seemed to stand still, and then came the implosion. The crystal shattered into countless shards that rained down like stars falling from the heavens. As dawn broke over the Sahara Desert, humanity claimed another victory against their oppressors. But even as celebrations erupted across resistance enclaves worldwide, Elara knew this was only one battle in a war far from over. The Blue Elves would not take these defeats lightly. They would adapt, evolve, and retaliate with fury unlike anything humanity had yet seen. And so began a new phase in humanity's struggle for survival. a phase defined not just by resistance, but by defiance, a declaration that Earth belonged not to invaders from beyond, but to those who had fought tooth and nail for every inch of its soil. The success of the Shard Offensive in the Sahara marked a pivotal moment in humanity's struggle against the Blue Elves. It proved that the mana crystals, once thought invincible, could be dismantled and their power disrupted. This victory ignited a wave of optimism across the scattered remnants of human civilization. But with it came a sobering realization. The Blue Elves would not remain passive in the face of such defiance. As the Arcanists regrouped and celebrated their triumph, reports began to trickle in from across the globe. The Blue Elves were mobilizing. Their presence, once ethereal and distant, was becoming increasingly tangible. Sightings of their physical forms, tall, elegant figures with skin like polished stone and eyes that glowed with an inner light, were becoming more frequent. They moved with an otherworldly grace, their intentions inscrutable but undeniably hostile. In response, humanity's resistance redoubled its efforts. The Arcanists knew they needed to strike quickly, leveraging their momentum before the Blue Elves could mount a coordinated counterattack. They expanded their operations, targeting mana crystals in strategic locations around the world. The Amazon rainforest, the icy expanses of Antarctica, the sprawling ruins of Tokyo. Alara found herself at the center of this whirlwind of activity. Her reputation as a leader and innovator had grown with each successful mission, and she was now seen as a beacon of hope for those who had lost everything to mana poisoning. But with this newfound status came immense pressure. Every decision she made carried weight. Every mission she led could mean the difference between victory and defeat. Despite these challenges, Alara remained resolute. She continued to push the boundaries of technomancy, developing new devices and strategies to counteract the Blue Elves' growing presence on Earth. Her latest creation was a prototype known as the Nexus Array, a network of interconnected arcane resonators designed to amplify human magic on a global scale. The Nexus Array represented a bold gamble. If successful, it would allow humanity to coordinate their efforts across vast distances, linking mages and technomancers in a unified front against their alien adversaries. But its construction required resources and expertise that were in short supply. Its activation would demand precise timing and coordination. As preparations for deploying the Nexus Array progressed, Alara received troubling news from her scouts. A massive mana crystal had been detected deep within the heart of what was once London, a city now shrouded in perpetual twilight under the crystal's influence. This crystal was unlike any they had encountered before. Its energy signature was off the charts, suggesting it served as a central hub for the Blue Elves' operations on Earth. Realizing that this crystal posed an existential threat to humanity's survival, Alara convened an emergency council at the Citadel of Ether. Leaders from resistance enclaves worldwide joined via holographic projection, their faces etched with determination and concern. "We have no choice," Alara addressed them, her voice steady despite the gravity of their situation. "If we don't take out this crystal, everything we've fought for could be lost." The council debated fiercely but ultimately agreed. They would launch an all-out assault on London, the most ambitious operation yet attempted by humanity's resistance forces. The Nexus Array would be deployed during this mission. Its success or failure would determine not just the outcome of this battle, but potentially the fate of Earth itself. As plans were finalized and teams assembled for what promised to be a decisive engagement against their alien oppressors, Alara took a moment to reflect on how far they had come, and how much further they still had to go. She thought about those who had fallen along this arduous journey, those whose sacrifices had paved the way for moments like these where hope flickered amidst despair like embers waiting to ignite into flame once more. With renewed resolve burning brightly within her heart, as fierce as any spell she could cast, Alara prepared herself for what lay ahead. One final push against overwhelming odds. One last stand against forces that sought nothing less than total domination over all life on Earth. The battle for London's mana crystal loomed large on humanity's horizon, a crucible where courage would be tested anew, where destiny awaited those brave enough to seize it from jaws poised, ever ready to devour dreams whole, without mercy or remorse. The assault on London began under a veil of storm clouds, the air thick with tension and crackling with latent arcana. The city, once a vibrant hub of human civilization, now stood as a monument to the Blue Elves' dominion. Towering spires of crystal pierced the skyline, their surfaces shimmering with an unearthly light. The central mana crystal loomed above it all, a pulsating monolith that seemed to hum with the heartbeat of the invaders' power. Elara led the strike force from the front, her conduit glowing faintly in her grip as she surveyed the ruins. Around her, squads of arcanists and technomancers moved with purpose, their faces set in grim determination. Hovercraft powered by elemental winds zipped overhead, carrying supplies and reinforcements to key positions. The Nexus array had been deployed across the Resistance's forces, linking them in a web of shared energy and communication. For the first time in years, humanity felt united, an army bound not by borders or flags, but by survival itself. The plan was simple in theory, but perilous in execution. Breach the crystal's defenses, deploy a modified arcane resonator at its core, and sever its connection to the Blue Elves network. But as they advanced through the shattered streets of London, something felt off. It started subtly, a faint vibration beneath their feet that grew stronger with each step toward the crystal. The air grew heavier, as if charged with an unseen force. Then came the whispers. At first, they were faint and indistinct, like wind brushing through hollow canyons. But soon they grew louder, forming words in a language no human could understand yet somehow recognized deep within their bones. Elara froze mid-step as a wave of nausea washed over her. Around her, others faltered as well, clutching their heads or staggering under an invisible weight. The whispers coalesced into a single voice, deep and resonant, echoing through their minds like thunder rolling across an endless plain. Asterisk, you dare defy us? Asterisk, it boomed. Asterisk, you who are but fleeting sparks in the void? You cannot comprehend what you challenge. Asterisk. Elara gritted her teeth against the voice's oppressive weight, forcing herself to stand tall. We comprehend enough, she muttered under her breath before shouting to her team. Keep moving. Focus on your spells. Don't let it get into your head. But even as she spoke, something strange began to happen. The mana crystal ahead of them pulsed violently, its light flickering erratically like a dying star. The ground beneath it cracked and shifted, sending tremors rippling through the city. And then, impossibly, it began to change. The crystal twisted and warped before their eyes, its smooth surface fracturing into jagged shards that rearranged themselves into an entirely new form. A towering humanoid figure made entirely of gleaming blue light and razor-sharp edges. It stood hundreds of feet tall, its faceless head turning toward them with an almost mechanical precision. The voice returned, now emanating from this colossal figure rather than their minds. You have forced our hand, it intoned. Asterisk, we had hoped to guide you gently into servitude. But if you will not bow willingly, asterisk. The figure raised one massive arm, and arcs of energy erupted from its body like lightning striking indiscriminately across the battlefield. Buildings crumbled under its assault. Resistance fighters scrambled for cover as explosions rocked the ground around them. Elara's heart raced as she stared up at this new threat, a manifestation of raw arcana unlike anything they had encountered before. This wasn't just another crystal to dismantle. This was something alive, or at least aware, an avatar of the Blue Elves made flesh. Fall back, she shouted into her communicator, her voice cutting through the chaos. Regroup at Point Delta. We need to rethink our approach. But even as she issued the order, she felt something stir deep within her. Something primal and ancient that resonated with the energy radiating from the crystalline colossus. It was as if part of her recognized this being, not as an enemy, but as kin? No, that couldn't be right. Yet the sensation persisted, a strange connection that defied logic or explanation. And then came another whisper, not from outside but from within herself this time. Asterisk, you are not what you think you are. Asterisk. Elara staggered under the weight of those words, but forced herself to focus on survival. Whatever this connection was, whatever truth lay buried within, it would have to wait until after they dealt with this monstrosity. As her team regrouped and prepared for a counterattack against impossible odds, Elara couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental had shifted, not just in their battle against the Blue Elves, but in her understanding of who, or what, she truly was. And somewhere deep within London's ruins, hidden beneath layers of crystal and rubble, something ancient stirred awake, something that had been waiting for this moment for millennia. The crystalline colossus loomed over the shattered cityscape, its presence a testament to the Blue Elves' power and their determination to crush humanity's resistance. But for Alara, it was also a catalyst, a spark that ignited questions she had never dared to ask about herself and her place in this cosmic struggle. As the resistance fighters regrouped at Point Delta, Alara found herself drawn back into the heart of the city, compelled by an inexplicable force. She moved with purpose through the ruins, her conduit humming softly in her hand, as if resonating with some hidden frequency. Around her, the air crackled with energy, and the ground seemed to pulse beneath her feet. Her journey led her to an ancient underground station, long abandoned and forgotten beneath layers of debris. Here, the whispers grew louder, not the oppressive voice of the Blue Elves, but something different, something that felt familiar. It was as if the very stones around her were speaking, guiding her deeper into the earth. The station opened into a vast cavern, its walls lined with veins of glowing crystal that pulsed in time with her heartbeat. At its center stood an altar carved from stone and crystal alike, its surface etched with symbols that seemed to shift and change as she approached. The air here was thick with arcana, a tangible presence that filled her senses and set her mind alight with possibilities. Alara hesitated at the edge of this sacred space, feeling both drawn to it and wary of what it might reveal. But the whispers urged her onward, soft voices that spoke not in words but in emotions, curiosity, hope, fear. As she stepped onto the altar, a surge of energy coursed through her body, a connection that transcended time and space. Images flashed before her eyes, visions of worlds beyond imagining, beings of light and shadow locked in eternal conflict, a tapestry of existence woven from threads of magic and matter. And then she saw them, the Blue Elves as they truly were, not conquerors but exiles, cast adrift from their own world by forces they could not control. Their arrival on Earth was not an invasion, but a desperate attempt to survive in a universe that had turned against them. But there was more to this story, a deeper truth hidden beneath layers of myth and memory. For in those visions, Alara saw herself, not as she was now, but as she had been long ago, a being of light and energy born from the same cosmic forge that had shaped the Blue Elves. She understood then why she had always felt different, why arcana flowed through her veins with such ease. She was not merely human. She was something more, a bridge between worlds, a living testament to the interconnectedness of all things. With this revelation came clarity and power. The energy within the cavern surged into her being, filling her with strength beyond anything she had ever known. She felt herself expand outward, becoming one with the crystals around her and reaching out across the city to touch every member of the resistance. Through this newfound connection, Alara shared what she had learned, her vision of unity and understanding that transcended fear and hatred. She showed them that their struggle was not just against an alien oppressor, but against their own limitations, the barriers they had erected between themselves and others out of ignorance or fear. As these revelations spread through their ranks like wildfire, humanity's resolve hardened anew, not just to fight, but to forge a new path forward where magic and technology could coexist in harmony rather than conflict. And so it was that when Alara emerged from that sacred place, her eyes aglow with inner light, she found herself at the head of an army transformed, warriors who wielded both arcana and technology with equal mastery, who understood now what they were truly fighting for, not just survival but liberation for all beings caught in this cosmic dance. Together they returned to face the crystalline colossus once more, not as enemies locked in mortal combat, but as equals seeking balance amidst chaos, a chance for redemption born from understanding rather than destruction alone. Yet even as they prepared for this final confrontation against overwhelming odds, something else stirred within those ancient depths beneath London's ruins, something older still than either human or elf, something waiting patiently across millennia for its moment to awaken once more into light. As Alara and her transformed army of Arcanists advanced once more toward the crystalline colossus, the air around them seemed to shimmer with potential. The Nexus Array, now fully operational, linked their minds and powers in a seamless web of shared purpose. Each step they took resonated with the energy of countless souls united not by fear or desperation, but by hope and understanding. The Colossus stood unmoving, its faceless gaze fixed upon them. It was a being of immense power, yet there was a hesitation in its stance, a flicker of uncertainty that mirrored the shifting tides within the blue elves themselves. For they too had felt the ripple of Alara's revelation, a whisper that reached even into their crystalline hearts. As Alara approached, she could feel the connection between them, a thread of shared existence that transcended time and space. She raised her conduit high, its light mingling with the energy of the Nexus Array to form a beacon that pierced the storm-laden sky. "Enough," she called out, her voice carrying across the battlefield with a resonance that was both commanding and compassionate. "We are not enemies. We are kin, bound by forces older than either of our worlds." The Colossus hesitated, its form wavering as if caught between two states of being. The whispers returned, softer now, filled with curiosity rather than malice. "Asterisk, what do you propose?" Asterisk came the voice, not from the Colossus itself, but from the consciousness behind it, a collective will that spanned galaxies. Alara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history upon her shoulders. "A chance for peace," she replied, "a chance to learn from one another, to heal what has been broken and forge a new path together." Her words hung in the air like a promise, a fragile hope that seemed almost impossible amidst the ruins of war. But within that silence lay possibility, a future where magic and technology could coexist not as tools of domination, but as instruments of creation. The Colossus began to change once more, its sharp edges softening into curves of light that danced like flames in a gentle breeze. It lowered its massive arms, and for a moment, all was still. Then came a sound, a low hum that rose into a symphony of notes resonating through every crystal and stone around them. It was a song without words, an expression of longing and sorrow intertwined with hope, a melody that spoke directly to the soul. In response, Alara's army joined their voices to this ancient chorus, humans and elves alike singing in harmony for perhaps the first time since their worlds had collided. The sound echoed across London's ruins, an offering to whatever lay beyond sight or understanding. As this symphony unfolded, a tapestry woven from threads of light and sound, something stirred deep beneath them, an ancient presence awakening from slumber, an entity older than either human or elf, something born from stars themselves. And so it was that amidst this convergence, this moment poised on knife edge between past grievances and future possibilities, the story drew toward its inevitable close. Yet even as they sang together under storm-laden skies, each note carrying echoes across millennia, the final chapter remained unwritten, waiting patiently for those brave enough to seize pen from fate's hand, ready at last to inscribe their own destiny upon pages yet unturned. As the symphony of voices rose to a crescendo, the crystalline colossus shimmered and dissolved into a cascade of light, its energy dissipating into the air like mist at dawn. The battlefield fell silent, save for the gentle hum of the Nexus Array, a testament to the power of unity and understanding that had turned the tide of conflict. In that moment, something profound shifted within the consciousness of both humans and blue elves. The barriers that had once divided them, fear, misunderstanding, and ancient grudges, began to crumble. What remained was a shared vision of what could be, a future where differences were celebrated rather than feared, where magic and technology intertwined to create wonders beyond imagination. The ancient presence beneath London stirred fully awake, revealing itself not as a threat, but as a guardian, a being of pure energy that had watched over Earth for eons, waiting for the right moment to guide its inhabitants toward enlightenment. It reached out with tendrils of light, touching each soul with a promise that they were not alone in this vast universe, and that their journey was only just beginning. With the blue elves' acceptance of peace, their mana crystals ceased to be instruments of control and instead became sources of knowledge and power shared freely with humanity. Together, they embarked on a new era of cooperation and exploration, unlocking secrets long hidden within the fabric of reality itself. Decades passed, then centuries. The scars of war healed, as both species worked side by side to rebuild what had been lost. Cities rose anew from the ashes, gleaming metropolises powered by arcana and technology in perfect harmony. The earth flourished under their care, its ecosystems restored to vibrant health through a blend of ancient wisdom and modern innovation. In this distant future, humanity prospered as never before. They ventured beyond their home planet, exploring the stars with ships powered by both science and magic. They forged alliances with other civilizations across the galaxy, sharing knowledge and culture in an ever-expanding tapestry of life. Alera's legacy endured as a symbol of hope and resilience, a reminder that even in the darkest times, light could be found through understanding and unity. Her story was told for generations, how she had bridged worlds with her courage and vision, how she had led her people from despair into an age of enlightenment. And so it was that humanity and their newfound allies thrived together in a universe filled with wonder and possibility. They had faced extinction only to emerge stronger than ever before, a testament to the indomitable spirit that defined them not just as individuals, but as part of something greater than themselves. The history books would tell of this time as an era when boundaries dissolved into shared dreams, when magic became not just a tool, but an expression of life's infinite potential, when peace was forged from understanding rather than conquest. And in this bright future where stars beckoned like distant friends waiting patiently across time's vast expanse, humanity stood ready at last to embrace whatever lay beyond, knowing they were no longer alone on their journey through eternity.